Oh boy, my mic is on too. Anyway, one of these days I will figure out how to do this. I've only been doing it for 6 years, and each day it feels just like the first day. Anyway, it is 7:04 on the East Coast. Boogie with the Bull Uncensored is live on the Dave Glover profile on Facebook and the Boogie with the Bull YouTube channel over there on YouTube. Both have live chats. You're more than welcome to be in either one or both at the same time. Yes, people have done that before. Have done that before too. Over on the Boogie with the Bull YouTube channel, you do not run into every 30 days. Whatever we have done 30 days before was removed. Please get to stay on YouTube for a long period of time. Anyway, please feel free to come and join us if you wish. And if you like the broadcast, please share the broadcast. Larry Burns is on from Canada. That makes us truly international, as I call it tonight, because he is home in Canada.
I'm coming with you.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So the door will be locked from the outside, and I'm stuck here until we are done. William Grant is watching. William Grant holds the record for watching more Boogie with the Bull broadcasts in the 6-year history of Boogie with the Bull, even more than me. Michael Anthony joins us on the MA, and
mature audiences only.
Mature audience. Well, I'm I've always joked that if you take your age and you keep adding up the numbers until you come up with a one-digit number, that's really how old you are. So if you take 6 and 3 together and add them up, I'm 9 years old, and that's probably not mature enough to be doing this, but I'm here doing it anyway. What's up with you, Michael?
Worked all day. Still stick picking up, cutting some trees, clean up, diverting a major storm that was supposed to hit us for the last 8 hours straight that never came. Just looking at all the weirdness and strangeness that's around us. When I come up with these things, I try to tell people, be more prepared for what you're about to experience. Whether it's disclosure or whether it's just thinking out of the box. It's what everybody needs to freaking do. I mean, if you look at what I posted all day, if you really went onto my page and look at my posts, I know that they can be somewhat, but you know what? There's a purpose behind everything because I wake up with a plan. I don't know where it comes from. I just know it's instincts. It's in my heart, and I got to write it down.
That's right.
Manufactured and called off at the last minute or rescheduled because of technical issues they didn't expect, or you tell me.
I missed part of that.
Okay. Manufactured, perhaps called off at the last minute because they had technical issues on their end. They didn't want to give us technical issues on our end. I do contribute to the theory that a lot of our weather is due in part to what they spray up in the sky.
Well, it has, you know what? It's more complex, but you're right. If it is more complex, you can increase the volume of the magnitude of a storm. You can also decrease it. It just depends upon the material and the outcome, whether it's to look natural or whether it's to look like some type of an event. We've seen these events. We've seen the devastation of them. But like today, when I put on my last post, it showed that the storm miraculously created a hook around Pittsburgh, which is pretty much like something's guiding it. And I put a post up this morning about, these dishes that are up in all over the place now, like the new spike protein of the world. And I do believe that they are a weapon. I do believe that they have several different things and outlooks that they can do. One is when the planes spray a cloaking material to block the sun, what it does, the sun then starts to bake us in a certain way because it's baking the element of the false atmosphere. And then when they hit this microwave event of the 5G, it creates it like a tropical diversional thing. So we become like a tropical high humidity. You can't walk outside. And then you get the cooler air that starts to screw with it because they spray isotopes behind it. It comes into the hot air and then it exactly creates those types of events. I've watched them. I've watched how they do it. I've watched this for years. I've always told people about it before people were even thinking about waking up to the scenarios of it. But again, they know that it's weather modification. JFK in I believe it was in 1964, said that they were already working on it. The Vietnam War, we used it. So,
Yep.
anyway, here we are. And let's not forget the fact that mountain resorts, ski resorts make snow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, don't forget, Doppler radar has a lot to do with the weather too, because it's sending out bursts. Am I correct on that?
Yeah,
Michael?
it does do signaling, but I don't
Yep.
think it's of the same magnitude of what these new 5G towers consist of.
Okay, because I was looking at radar and you can see the rings going out from the radar sites.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And radars are used within every element of everything when it's atmospheric, including planes.
correct. Yep.
That's why we still don't understand what happened to the helicopter that crashed into the plane on runway 33. But we do
Yeah.
know that things came out now about that. There's a 5,000 page report. It's really looking like an intentional something hit.
Yeah.
I just keep coming down to a point that I don't know if anybody else understands because I don't really even understand it myself. With technology we have right now, could they in fact turn off the sun if they wanted to, or spray enough stuff up in the sky where it just couldn't get through anymore?
Well, they do. It's already not getting through, David.
Darkness.
It's already not getting through. So yes, they can do that. They can cloak in colors. Look, when you go out and watch an air show, they use all colors under the sun. So they can manipulate your sight. They can manipulate fall. They can manipulate summer. They can manipulate cloud dispersion and size and types. And in some events, they can even create cumulus to look like. They have several different ways of doing it, from land, water, and air. So again, it all just depends. Look, it's a weapon. That's all I'm going to say. It's a weapon. No one's going to change my mind to that effect. From that effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
And then you have
no
HAARP then too.
We're just trying to.
Well, a lot of
we're
people
just
think
trying
HAARP
to
was shut
understand.
down,
I
but
mean,
it wasn't.
Yeah, HAARP. They send up the signals
us
and heat
down
up
here in the
the
trenches.
atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Go ahead, David. Go ahead, David.
Just
Chuck,
trying to
talk. You guys talk.
us down here in the trench, trying to understand what the hell is going on. Spray enough up there that it would one day block out the sun. I mean, I don't want to do it other than maybe Tesla's idea with Musk's idea that floating up there free, we should be able to just tap into it and not pay electric companies. Now, I know, and you know, and Chuck knows, and anybody watching knows that you can't just say to Connecticut Light and Power, whoever, JEA here in Florida, I can name off every electric company in the world. You can't just say on Friday next week, you guys can shut off because you're just not going to be needed anymore.
Well,
and I would imagine that's why everybody is spraying in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck.
Well, you've got energy around you all over. I mean, you look at the ground. The ground's got energy in it, even though you take and you ground yourself, and then stuff up above. The energy's all over us, and it's even deep down into the ground. And it's all done with frequencies and stuff like that. That's where Tesla, or whatever, came, and he came out with free energy, You just need some towers every so often to, distribute it, I guess. But I don't know that much about it, but that's kind of what I gather from what I've picked up. Hi, Jerry.
Well,
Right.
you can utilize any raw material you want if you want to cloak the sun, including the Keller Black. And if it's thick enough, the base is thick enough, and if it's looked after long enough, you can continuously spray it. But you have to wonder, what's the spray? Is it harmful? What's safe? I mean, look, even DeSantis is now regulating and trying to enforce any flight overs in Florida is going to take licensing and approvals on every level of what they use. So he's basically what he's doing. He's demanding transparency of harmful effects versus good effects. Now, here's something that we have right now that Dave was kind of gesturing. So give me 1 second here.
Of Oxford, said this month that the UK's gamble on solar geoengineering is like using aspirin for cancer. Calling the project barking mad, he went on, since 2021 commentary from ourselves, the situation has grown far worse, with tens of millions of dollars pouring into the scheme, mostly from private donors. Bill Gates was an early backer, and the tech and fintech industries have piled on since. But we never imagined that the UK government itself would be leading the charge into what is almost universally recognised as the most dangerous and destabilising source of research. Field trials that risk developing dangerous technology and paving the way for deployment. Did you catch the name there? Bill Gates. I know many people watching this now will be rolling their eyes at the mention of the Microsoft billionaire once again, but it is an indisputable fact that Gates does have his hands in many controversial cookie jars. This was Tucker Carlson in the US some years ago, raising the alarm on America's own geoengineering madness.
And that's why Bill Gates is now backing something called sun-dimming technology that would reflect sunlight out of the Earth's atmosphere, causing global cooling.
Bill Gates is backing the first high-altitude experiment of one radical climate change solution, creating a massive chemical cloud that could cool the Earth. It's called solar geoengineering, and it's highly controversial. It would look something like this. Thousands of planes would fly very high and use nozzles to inject millions of tons of light-reflecting particles into the stratosphere. It would create a thin chemical cloud of those particles around the whole planet, blocking some sunlight from reaching the surface.
So basically, I mean, it's whatever you want to think. But yeah, so this is out there, China, the UK, Bill Gates, and some other billionaires. Okay, so they figure out a way to do this. And what does it do? It destroys the trees, the vegetation. Sunlight's good for the human being. It's a natural source of vitamin that helps your body produce it, that keeps yourself well. It's one of the strange, the mysterious, but not so much lost, just so much more stupid. Like we want to live in the dark ages again. This is a game plan that came in effect years ago of how they wanted to monopolize into this future of the 2030 and the other agendas that connect within the dots within there. But yeah, Dave, these things are out there. They are already doing and have already done a lot of inside laboratory testings and so forth like that. Again, it needs to be stopped. Enough is enough is enough is enough. It's stupid, stupid, stupid.
It is. Let's bring Jerry Michaels from the American Rebellion Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday here on Facebook and over on X and a few other places into the conversation. What do you think, Jerry? Do you think they will actually figure out a way to turn off the sun and plug us all into 300 million years of darkness?
I think Bill Gates is a douche nozzle and needs to be punched in the face repeatedly and often until he no longer has bad ideas forever. How's that?
That's a good analogy.
I don't think it would take very long, but
well, he's big into this. He's big into the AI, which is in the wrong hands already. The people who invented it and the government and whoever else outside the government. So nothing good is going to come from it eventually. It will be used against us for nefarious ways, and there you go.
Agreed.
I mean,
Agreed.
we're all like it now because we can ask it questions. We can do this. We could do that. I actually found out a bunch of stuff about my truck through AI. I was very happy with that. But in the end, I'm not going to use it to, stop your bank account or, I don't know, send Billy Bob and Bub out to break your legs or any kind of weird shit like that either. So, and blocking the sun, as I said last night, we want solar energy. England definitely wants solar energy, and we got people that want to block the sun. And I'm no scientist, but I can tell you that you absolutely need a lot of sunlight to run an electrical grid off of solar. And I just don't see how those two things are equaling up.
Well, another thing with solar is you have all that glass out in the middle of these farmers' fields and shit, producing all that heat, plus the geoengineering up above, causing storms. And when you get cold fronts and all that heat together, that's what you get. Bad storms.
Do you think they'll figure out a way to capture the heat and filter it out or something like that? Is there a way, Michael? Or we just
there's a very easy cure. There's a very easy cure. Stop goddamn doing it.
Okay.
And let the air flow. Let the jet stream roll. Let the jet stream rock and roll. Don't try to control the jet stream.
Yeah,
Don't try to bring turbulent weather to Texas where it never has turbulent weather. And when you go back to Texas, 4.5 years ago, whatever, 4 months ago, when they started getting devastating ice storms and all that stuff that was people freezing in their homes and all that devastation. The weather didn't come from not one particular source of a direction, which means it was delivered. It was delivered because that man in a wheelchair was fighting for America because he was using his mouth, and they were trying to say, well, use your mouth, we'll control you, we'll destroy your cities and your state. You've got to look back at the time, key moments of time, and it'll explain to you that this is in fact a weapon. And anything that they're going to do like that is just going to destroy so you just got to stop it. And we are starting to see things come about where stoppage may come, but how soon? We also have in Pennsylvania, a senator who's fighting for, climate and all this bullshit to quit. But there's also 21 other states that are doing it. It's just not really out there publicly because the media is not going to talk about it. No, they're going to talk about a fear-mongering a storm event that never happens or sometimes comes worse. So they want to keep you like in a mind space of chaos. And, it does do that to people, and again, it angers me beyond, but
here's what we do.
You got to make it stop.
Here's what we do. It's very simple. Stay in our lane. Okay. Let Mother Nature handle the rain, all the earthquakes, all that bullshit. And then we'll just be better at recovering. Okay. It's that simple. If we really wanted to do something well and feed the world and everything, turn the deserts into some lush shit. You could do that. But then as people, we would overcomplicate it and screw it completely up. I live in Florida. I've seen what they did to the Everglades. They told us nothing bad would ever happen if we built like more mini malls on the Everglades and we let the sugar cane people poison the water. Well, you know what? It does because our whole weather pattern down here has changed completely. And that was what's being done on the ground. It has nothing to do with what's being done in the air. Okay, or blocking out the sun. What are you gonna do? Go up there and put an umbrella around it facing the earth? I mean, yeah, come on. Whatever goes up must come down. So whatever chemicals they're going to put up there to stop the sun are going to come down on us eventually, and then stop us, and probably for good.
Unless they go to AI technology
around the goddamn world and throw a rock and you will hit somebody with immune disease, cancer, leukemia, some damn thing or another. And it's from the food, the air, and the water. Yep. And I ain't no scientist again, but even I can see that.
Unless they were to create some type of what you said, there is a theory of the umbrella effect. like a Starlink, where they put a bunch of drone-like units up in the sky that could connect all together and basically splash guard the sun off. In other words, it hits it and it goes sideways.
Bullshit. How about we do this? Leave the damn sun alone.
I agree.
There is no fucking global warming. There's just the government handed out money, and our money, I might add, to people who don't deserve it. If you want to have electric cars and you want to have electric this and electric that, I don't know, maybe improve the technology so that it's feasible. Okay, otherwise, shut the hell up and quit drilling for natural oil. Instead of tearing up the earth with every single thing they do to make it worse. And that's what gets me about these green motherfuckers. None of them care about that because they're getting rich off it. Leave the weather, the sun, the moon, leave it alone. Let's do that.
I agree. And you know, I can hear the intensity in your voice, so keep rocking it, brother.
Yeah. No, it's just, you know, it's like we hear about this every day. We're all going to die. What is it now? We're down to, I think we're dying next year. AOC said we're going to die 12 years, and that was a while ago. I don't know. So everybody should probably lay down and get ready. You know, and you know what's going to happen? None of us are going to die that ain't supposed to die. All right, you know, there's a natural order to things. And when I say natural, I mean Mother Nature. I mean just the way things are out here. And man, for some reason, seems to think they can make everything better, and they cannot.
No.
There's a reason that this Earth has been here for 1,000 million years, okay? And it did pretty well on its own before man showed up. Worst thing I had to deal with was some Bronto crap when they ate some Taco Bell back then, you know, at the Brontosaurus Taco Bell place. Okay, that was the worst thing. Man shows up and everything goes to hell.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree 100%. Dave?
I agree only because I still don't understand how humans got into the garbage planet and they were just dumping us here from other planets and other galaxies and whatever. Eventually, they knew we would fuck it up.
Well,
and
here's the thing,
after
Dave, what your
we fucked
theory
it up
on that,
enough, we would all die, and they would just come and take it.
they sent cavemen, Dave. They couldn't send a scientist. They sent cavemen, Dave. Took them like 2,000 years to figure out a round thing, and you put it under a board or some sort, and it'll roll, and you know, a wheel. It took them a while to figure out fire. I don't know what happened back then. I wasn't here, although some people may think I was. I was not, because a lot of people think I'm a dinosaur. But here's what I'm going to tell you: technology and progress and all the rest of this bullshit is not all it's cracked up to be, because most people, especially children, do not have the capability to deal with it. You go out, you see a bunch of kids standing around, they're all texting each other instead of actually speaking. Okay, you know, this is bad. It's not good. People we got AI now. Okay, I got to be honest. I would lose arguments with AI friends also. So, you know, what's the point? I might as well use the real ones. Okay. Everybody's got different little personality. Everybody's got their own way of doing shit. I enjoy that. Okay. But, you know, the technology is not good. And when we take technology for something, it is used as they call it a national defense product, but hell, they use it against everybody. They cause earthquakes in other countries with shit from I don't know, Antarctica or some goddamn where. All right, you know, it's time. And it's not going to stop. It's too late now. It's not going to stop. It's just going to keep getting more and more and more.
Yeah.
And pretty soon
Dave,
we're going to have 1980 goddamn 4 in real life. Now, I mean, I keep hearing about 1984. They're doing 1980. Wait till it happens in real life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dave, they just dropped humans off here how many thousands of years ago or whatever. They just wanted to find out how long it would take us to fuck the planet up. And, you know, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think. Or they sent the crew here to get it ready for them to come and
Well,
and,
you know,
and
I've
take
got
it
an in
from us.
with
But now I think
I've got an in with God, Dave. You're going to Jewish hell for that. It's Adam and Eve have done it all. I'm sorry.
oh,
Going to
okay.
Jewish hell, Dave.
Thank
I
you.
don't know what to tell you.
Well, yeah.
Good news, it's adjoining rooms to, you know, I don't know, regular people hell or whatever. I don't know what the fuck you call it. Anyway,
Okay.
so you'll be able to visit anytime you want. I hear it's a little cooler on our side, but I don't know. I suspect me and a whole bunch of people I know are going to find out, but you know, whatever.
Yeah.
It's all good.
And Jerry will make your biscuits and gravy every morning for you,
There you
too.
go.
So,
Yeah,
there you go.
Why not?
So
We
it's
got
all
plenty
good.
of things.
No,
all we
Jerry-
need is some
Jerry-
cast iron skillets, and we got plenty of fire, so we'll be in there.
And you're thinking right on cast iron
Speaking-
or glass, because cooking out of them is much safer than Teflon if you do the research on
Oh
that.
yeah.
Everything has been a progression as to depopulation and life longevity. Every freaking thing, including from the sky, the water, the air. We've been under attack. And if you go back and you want to theorize on Mars what they're finding and the fact that they collapsed that whole planet, anywhere intelligent life goes, there is a problem.
And in 25 years of my 32-year of sad career of detailing cars, I use Teflon wax damn near every day.
Yep.
Obviously, we have been cooking on Teflon and eating it and eating the byproducts that are in it for, I don't know, since what, the 70s?
At least the 80s. At least the 80s. And that's still being kind in a safe way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you can bet your ass that was used for something else long
Oh, it
before
is.
it came out on a frying pan. Okay.
Yes.
So and that something else was not good. Because this kind of stuff is the kind of stuff that the Dave. Hey, we'll call him the Dave from now on. But the military. I don't know how I got Dave out of that, but whatever. The military uses for whatever nefarious shit they're doing. You know, I was in the military. I had no idea just how nefarious the military actually is. But when you go to boot camp, they make everything very straightforward. Your government property, you're there to kill or be killed, and shut the hell up and do what you're told. Okay, very straightforward. It was not hard to figure out. Okay, but when you look into what the military actually does, it's horrible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you know, there's two sides of the deck of cards that they use, and it's not just military; it's beyond it. It's in the political era. I mean, it goes so deep. It really does. And again, I'm just happy that I put my mind finally into place to where I'm going back to what America Disclosing used to do, which is the show that we are doing and producing now on Sundays. Giving people back what we know existed and where it came from and the validation of where it came from to the best of our knowledge and the best of what we can find. And hopefully that'll help narrate people into the future on how to fight and battle this, because most cases, history says nothing takes effect till 100 years after the problem is being confronted. If that's true, none of us are going to be here. But we can at least know we tried our best while we stood where we stood.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. They. I heard something I saw on the internet today that the horse paste, ivermectin, it causes sterility. I go, well, that's okay. I don't mind because I'm old. I don't need to have any more babies. But I don't know if that's just bullshit or it's a scare tactic, to keep people not using it.
Yeah.
So the pharmaceuticals can get richer on it. Who knows anymore?
Take a freaking rat or a monkey, fill it up with more shit than a fucking elephant would take in 20 goddamn years, and see what happens to you. Okay, my guess, yeah, that might be a thing, but in the end, it also could be just a bunch of bullshit from, as Chuck said, which actually should be probably your first thought, from pharmaceutical companies, because I pay $12 for a tube of it, a little syringe deal, instead of $500 for something else. and it's all bullshit. Is what it is. I'm gonna do what the fuck I want, and that's the end of it. I don't give damn much who's telling me no. Hey, Bill Reese is here. I don't know who that is, but he seems like he's nice. Anyway, that's good. You know him?
Bill Reese, I met a long time ago, and for lack of putting it better, he at that time was he was the king.
Are we doing shots
he was-
tonight? Shots
Yeah.
with ivermectin.
Horrible tasting, but it does. Let's just say loosen you right up, and you know, it does. I don't know about the energy part, but it does give you some kind of you know, it takes the parasites and makes them go away. How can that be bad?
Right, I would agree.
Yeah.
You
Dave,
have Dave. You ought to try it. When you take that pill that makes you go to sleep, you should probably try this, and that'll wake you right up because the taste alone is not good.
But that's the problem. I take the.
Okay, Dave. I can't. Again, I'm an idea man. I'm not into planning. There's nothing I can do.
I understand what you're saying. Bill Reese, to answer your question, when I came onto Facebook a long time ago, Bill Reese was messenger group chats. And I don't just mean that he had wacko groups to be in. He had very serious groups that were fun to be in. But, you know, if you really wanted to talk about things, he had all kinds of fantastic groups to be in. And I'm glad that he is watching. Jimmy Collins said hello to us all. Jerry said hello. Chuck Cook said welcome back. Larry Burns, as I said, is on and watching. So we're truly international because he's in Canada and we're not. And let's see. I don't know, but I did want to say Robert Lawless is watching. He hasn't come into a live chat yet, but Robert, if you can hear me, you're more than welcome to come on. Larry, you're more than welcome to come on if you want. Anybody's more than welcome to come on. All you got to do is let me know, and I will do my best to get a link to you. Or one of the three of us will do our best to get a link to you. And with that, we'll just
alrighty
continue whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. It just it seems our life expectancy is going down, and I just decided actually quite some time ago, long time ago actually, I'm gonna do what I want. And I'm not gonna worry too damn much about what anybody thinks about it. I'm gonna, you know, I usually think about like neighbors, and you know, I'm not gonna do something that's gonna keep them awake all night, 3 o'clock in the morning. But you know, that kind of thing, you know. But if somebody don't like it, I guess they can come over here and tell me not to if they wish to. I'm gonna say no, and then we'll see where we go from there. You know, I don't believe in global warming. I believe mankind is the worst thing that happened to the earth, including the green people who every time they have a rally leave 48 tons of crap on the ground. You know, it's like you hypocrite much. You know, I mean, I don't know. It's got to stop somewhere, and people need to come back to their senses and realize it's not all about the individual, other than the individual, and possibly some family members and maybe some friends. It's not everybody has to do to keep you happy. Okay, it's up to you to keep you happy, and shut the fuck up about it while you're doing it. There you go. It's very simple.
I like that. If anybody asks me what's a good idea to do, I'm just going to take that from Jerry. Shut the fuck up.
Well, Dave, I've been punched in the face before. You may want to think about that twice. I don't know.
Well,
it does suck.
But no, I don't.
Yeah. No, it's just
I'm not much of a point.
and I'm gonna do what I want to do. You know.
Yeah. I'm not much.
I mean, within the law.
Two-hit fight. Someone hits me.
Yeah, I mean, I try to follow the law. The problem is every one of us breaks 20 of them a day just doing normal shit that should not be a law against.
Yeah.
Most cases.
This is,
you know,
this is true.
Spitting on a sidewalk, jaywalking. Yeah, you're right. I mean, nobody even respects those laws anymore. They haven't in 50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I got nailed. I got nailed for a red light out in Iowa the last time I went out there.
Well, a red light I can kind of understand. What I don't understand is the fine for it. I mean, it's way too high. $20.
$100.
Okay, yeah. See,
$100.
that's bullshit. $20. The fines, fees, their taxes.
Yeah.
Okay, whether you like hearing it or not, that's what they are, and it's the way that cities, counties, states, everything make money off of you.
Yeah.
And
I'll
on
tell you
top
how
of
it
that,
happened.
the fine is not the only thing they usually do. They will also put points against your driver's license to where you have to go to an approved school to get them off, or you just live with them and hope you don't get enough to get your driver's privileges. We pay for the fucking roads. We pay for the toll booths. We pay for everything in our individual states and much of what's in this country and other states, but yet they're going to take our privilege away.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a 4-lane, actually 2 lanes, and then there was 2 turn lanes. There was an oversized load. I wasn't with that load, but I was just going out to the casino, and I was in the left lane. Speed limit's 45 miles an hour. The yellow light was on for the turn lane, and I looked at the video of it and everything. There was no way in hell I was going to be able to stop before it turned red. Okay. The oversized load was already out in the intersection. So I said, there's no way I'm going to be able to stop. I'm going to get a ticket no matter what I do. So I went ahead because I was on the inside of the semi. Yeah, they gave me a ticket. Fuckers.
Yeah, and this whole camera thing, well, listen, we could go into this rabbit hole for about 17 hours and still not be anywhere near the end of it, but
Right.
it's all about money for them. They don't really actually give a damn if you ran that stoplight. Now, some things I can understand because that's how our traffic system works, especially in the city and anywhere really. But the price of it is ridiculous.
Yeah, I would have been over the line and I would have tripped the camera anyway. So what, I would have got it either way.
Yeah.
So I made the decision instead of being halfway out in the intersection because I was going 45 miles an hour. And I had to slow down for the curve anyways. But, looking at we're talking half seconds of the video. There is no way in hell that I, safely stopped behind the white line. There was just no freaking way. Yeah, they got
it is what it is, but then they don't care. So you think they really care if you drink and drive? No, it's a huge, huge, huge moneymaker. I got a DUI once. And we figured it out while we were at the school waiting on the guy to show up to counsel us, which we all made a joke out of. Okay. And we figured out it was something just in that class alone, $15,000. And that only was for the school. That didn't count the fines. That didn't count all the other fees you had to pay to get your driver's license back, the extra insurance, everything. That's how much the state made on one class of about 45 people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they had classes 7 or 6 times a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that was one school down in Fort Lauderdale, and there's one in damn near every city.
Yeah, everything they do is a scam.
Yep, it's all a scam, including the climate change, including this, and they just let these people like Bill Gates go do whatever he feels like. How the hell does he get to do that?
Well, he's the world's smartest doctor. Google it. But no, I mean, he, and he wasn't even a self creator of the wealth. It came from his mother.
No,
it came from his mother. Hand me down stuff. And we notice that's always the old money that helps the man become more successful. But again, think back on who he spent his early days in college with, Fauci. I mean, it's a well-connected family affair. It just is. And they got in on the ground level of a lot of information being within families, birth to families, in ways, we're never going to really understand. They don't understand what it is to be in pain and suffering and not having, 2 cents left at the end of a pay period to rub together and things like that. And I'm not saying that there aren't ways to do better for yourself. Certain ones of us may have done that, but it doesn't mean that we didn't suffer either. I have things, and a lot of people put their finger in my face on that. But the thing is, I had to put money and invest money into other things before my own home came first. Because once you take on the responsibility and the reality of being somebody who develops property and as a landlord, you better make sure that they are not suffering from any consequences of ill effect because of your doing. Because you're the first one going down, first one getting fined, and then they don't have to pay rent and everything else. So anytime there were issues, everything else came first. My life always came last. And even when you get to the point of whether you're doing a land installment agreement or because I never did a bank note in my life, I never had a bank financial mortgage ever, ever, ever. I did things between people or I bought them outright cash. And I'm not saying I bought them outright cash for hundreds of thousands. I looked and seeked for something that I figured my skill set could bring back to life and make it into something that had a paycheck at the end of it. But again, these people never had to do any of that. But how did Fauci become the highest paid government official ever in the United States history? Because it was planned that way. It was planned that way. It surrounds everything. So no matter how we deep dive into this, no one deserves to live in any poverty type of level environment, but yet we do. But if you go to SNAP, and you have this and you have that and you're $1 over, you're disqualified. You're disqualified.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Look at what they created. The ones that frauded the pandemic insurance. They got big Cadillacs now and Escalades and grants for businesses. That's where the money went. But yet they didn't open up a damn thing.
Yep. Look at Solyndra, what they did. They got a bunch of money from Obama and then went bankrupt. But all the people who owned it got rich.
Yeah, right.
In the end, it's all bullshit. And here's the deal. You got a guy like Trump. He's a billionaire. I don't know if he was ever a billionaire like he said he was, but I don't care. He's still a billionaire. It doesn't matter if it's 1 or 500. Okay. And you don't hear about him setting off diseases in Africa and giving them the cure and killing a bunch of people in Africa doing that. You don't hear about him doing stuff with the sun, the moon. I don't know, freaking, this, that, and the other. You don't hear about him ever in his life doing any of that shit.
No, all you heard were stories that were good that you're not allowed to talk about.
Yeah.
Including rescuing some of our military. The day after 9/11, sending 200 union workers in to help and assist. I mean, really, he indulged in ways to help people.
Yeah.
Whether if they were broke down on the road, it didn't matter.
Yep. When he was broke down on the road, some guy stopped to help him and he paid off his fucking mortgage.
Right, because he had a flat tire.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, so, exactly.
I'm not saying he was perfect. I don't think he got all his billions by being, all on the side of law and order. I think he paid off politicians and he paid off unions and he paid off the fucking mob because that's how you do business. Sadly, in this country, okay? And it's not because it's some horrible thing. He was building buildings. It wasn't because some horrible building he was building. It was because everybody has to get paid before you are allowed to do anything.
Right, and you can't blame him for that. That was the pre-setup. That was the pre-setup. You either follow it or you don't do shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the game he learned from his
If they really wanted to get him in a court of law, they could probably have gotten him with that. However, then they'd have to take down half the politicians in Washington, D.C. with it because, who the hell do you think he was paying to grease the wheels?
Exactly.
Yeah.
He knows the system. Go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt. You've been trying to get a word.
It just seems like that. It just sounds like this. I mean, we all know this game of politics is one day you're up and the next day you're down, and 2 days later they're kicking you, and 3 days later you disappear. smelling roses for the, I don't understand why we all can't just drop the games and do what we need to do. I mean, I don't care. If you want to be a Democrat, be a Democrat. If you want to be a neo-Nazi, be a neo-Nazi. But we're Americans, and this is our country, and if we don't take care of it, we are going to lose it. I mean, people don't seem to understand that let me just finish my thought, Gary. People don't seem to understand that everything needed to take us down came in through the southern border. And those people the people that allowed it to happen don't give a shit because they wanted it to happen. And the point is now we've caught them. We're doing what we can. Tom Homan and his crew and judges that are ruling, yeah, this person can't be in the United States anymore. But is it too little, too much?
No, because we're 99% there on the border.
Here's the thing. As Dave said, this is America. We are Americans. How about we just have one party called the American Party and do for America instead of the Democrats who are constantly want to do the direct opposite and come sometimes the most outlandish bullshit you ever heard in your life. Okay. And then there's the Republicans who weren't even around until around Lincoln's time, because he was like a Republican. I mean, we started a country for freedom and, getting away from tyranny and all this. And, first thing all these politicians did was turn around, let's start all these different parties so that, we have a contrast. We don't need a contrast. We only need one thing, America. Period. End of discussion.
That's where the division started, right there. Yeah.
Yep.
And the problem
and then
is
people get, so back in the day, you talk politics a lot because there wasn't no TV or internet. It's not, and none of this kind of bullshit we do now. All right. But you did it in church. You did it everywhere. Okay. And the hell, the preacher had an opinion and he preached that opinion to his flock. You didn't like it. I guess you didn't go to church. Point was that, you know what? It's all bullshit. These parties don't give a damn about us. They just give a damn about the power they have over us. And what we, not the politicians, what we have forgotten is that we're the ones supposed to be in charge. And when I say we, I'm not talking about anybody here. I'm talking about the overall population of this country, legal population of this country.
Yeah.
Thanks for the definition.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Because, by the way, those fucking illegals don't actually have constitutional rights.
None.
They don't. They don't. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't.
But they're going to look at somebody like me or anybody here saying this like, well, you didn't go to college. You do. How would you know? You're not a lawyer. How would you know? Like that fucking guy. It still pisses me off. Okay. But you know what? It doesn't take much to figure it out. And people way smarter than me have told me that. People like Mark Levin, who I have yet to find to be wrong about any kind of constitutional question. Okay. And because he's a constitutional lawyer and he's a very good one. I guess he just makes more money going on, the radio and getting pissed off, which, I do that. Why the hell ain't I making money? I mean, goddamn. What the hell? We can even get Chuck pissed off for a few bucks. Jeez.
We could.
Good. Light a match under my ass. You want me to stop?
Well, you know what, and that's true, Chuck. But the problem is, we all have that point, where mine was a lot sooner than yours. But I heard you the other night. That's the closest I ever heard, but it wasn't bad. But it was obviously you were very frustrated with the ridiculousness of all of this, because this, if it wasn't so bad, would be a freaking joke.
Yeah.
And it goes back so far to, and not even before the founding of this country. Okay, it goes back to kings and queens and inbreeding and you name it, it goes back to that.
It does.
And for people believing the Bible, it goes back to Adam and Eve, and then the snake came in. Pretty sure the snake was a Democrat. And he told me, go ahead and eat the apple. It's all good. Why shouldn't you be allowed to eat the apple? Who told you couldn't eat an apple? Well, that's bullshit. Eat the apple. Then they looked around, saw they was naked, killed a few animals, put on their skin, and it's been downhill ever since. That's Jerry's religious school, by the way.
I love
1995 a
it.
month.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, well, they had to bring religion in at some time because for thousands of years they didn't have anything politically religious that was working.
Yeah.
So they came up with a very ingenious idea. I'm just going to leave it at that, and because look where it still is. You get hundreds of thousands of people that want to go and just look at a corpse's body before they put him in the ground. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, everything that represents the light of the church doesn't have anything to do with a good light of a church. You don't hang a man in his own building to represent the fact of good and light. You don't drink blood. You don't eat the body. That to me is a satanic worshiping evaluation that people never looked into deep enough. But because it was placed there, because cultures live like that.
I had never thought of it that way, but you know what? Holy crap. I went to church when I was little every Sunday. My mother dragged us there, sometimes literally, on the back of the car with a dog collar, as we bounced down the street, because we didn't want to go. It was boring. We were 5, okay? But you go in there and then, body of Christ, blood of Christ, and he drinks the wine, eats the wafer, and everybody else gets up and eats the wafer. Now, obviously, that's not people, as far as I know. It's not like Silent Green or anything, but it still represents that. So that actually makes a shitload of sense. It really does.
Yeah, and if you look at the stations across, it represents suffering.
Yes,
it represents suffering.
Yeah, yes.
And we didn't change until people started questioning. You're really drinking blood. What kind of blood is it you're drinking?
Yeah.
So maybe that opens the door to the Antichrist. I mean, I'm just saying, there's a possibility. But yeah, when you go into this and you search in your mind and body and soul for the answers, you'll be able to come up with the examples of like, how does this even make sense? To me, if I went to church, it's like walking outside in the most beautiful nature that you could be in with nothing of bad, but all of good. And there's no representation of that when you go into these buildings, except for the magnificence of the creation of the building. That to me is what is. Yep. So what are these frequencies and what are all these echoes and the beautification of the voices and so forth? What does it really represent? And who does it really contact? That's the whole thing behind it. What does it do? What is its full purpose? I mean, even if you question the bells, I know we can go a lot of ways on that. But is it the frequency to the gate of heaven, or is it to the sequence of frequency to the gate of hell? I mean, and which one is really in charge? Because if you can cry until you're dead on this earth for help, and there's only help from one way, no way.
I think the Catholic Church, which I am Catholic, that's all I can really speak on, is more closer to hell than they ever were to God. Just from their history alone of the Pope, look at what he did.
Right.
You don't, if you are God, you are God's left-hand man, I guess, and the voice of God on earth. Okay. I don't know if these people have ever heard the 10 Commandments, but
the rule.
Here's the thing: "Thou shalt not kill" is one of them. And how many people have popes killed in the name of God? And God apparently does not want people to do that sort of thing.
Right, weird. Exactly. You're right on the money. Now you're in there. Now you're in the game. Now you're in the game.
And I know it's war, and I know we call war killing different than regular killing, but I would like to ask, other than the carnage itself, what's the difference? I kill my neighbor or something, and he's dead. And you kill a guy who's trying to attack your fort or something, he's dead too. Okay? And now I grant you, I'm going to kill a guy before he kills me because that's how I feel like it needs to be. But does that make me right morally? I don't know. I'm not that smart. Somebody, when I die, if all this is true, then I'm going to find out right quick. All right? But for right now, I'm not going to die from lack of shooting back. But the thing is, is that the Catholic Church has been majorly involved in killing child molestation since probably the beginning of the Catholic religion. You name it. And if the Catholic Church is doing it and they're always in the news, it's cover for other religions. I don't care which one it is. David might be a great Jew and say I was a great Catholic, which take my word for it, I'm not. We may be pure of heart. Probably not completely, but as close as we can get as human beings. Okay. All right. But whoever's leading the band, you can bet they ain't.
Exactly. And I think the most important part, Dave needing to take his meds right now, beyond that, beyond that alarm system, I think as long as you have some type of peace of mind,
means of control.
Yeah. As long as you have some type of peace of mind that gives you serenity, that is where it's at. That is where your conscious level of creation and everything good is at. Stay within those focuses, because everything else, to me, as you said, has a lot of bullshit involved in it, and misguidance. And I maybe that's one of the reasons why I played for the band called Misguided Children, because I did. And why are all these things like that in my life? I don't have a clue. That's why I walk as far to the light as I can, not to the left, not to the right, not even in the middle. Straight up, wherever up is, that's where I try to ride that plane. My plane, my life, my life's journey, my life's process. What I learned from this life, what I decide to learn from it, how I decide to analyze it. It's been a wonderful ride so far, with some hardships, but you know what? Without pain, there's no gain. And growing pains will be with every one of us until the day we die. People say, oh, that's a thing for young people to say. No, it's not about growing pains and you losing a woman. It's not about anything like that. Speaking maturely, as for what men seek, true men seek. No, that's a part of the growing pain, but much comes after that. We lose children. We lose family members. We lose job. We lose money in stocks. Everything is a growing pain. So all you can do is try to focus somewhere in the neutral that gives you that better aspect of what consciousness is really all about. And there, somewhere within that ether, is the purity of why Earth is here. I believe that for humanity.
I guess hopefully one day it does become, we can all sit at a table together and just agree right away on what we agree on, and then go to work on what we don't agree on, rather than sending 5,000 people from one country and 5,000 people, sending 10,000 people out of this world because we're stupid. Why can't
we do this?
And if Putin really wanted to have peace with Zelensky, he would do it. If Zelensky really wanted to have peace with Putin, they really could work it out. And they could do it probably without Donald Trump even being in the room. Nothing against our president, because for years it's always been the United States seems to need to be the big peace.
Yeah. But the United States is a bully, and they're always the ones that get every single damn thing they want, and nobody else does. Right. That's the problem. We just signed that deal with Zelensky for the mineral rights.
Yeah.
Yesterday or the day before, which I'm not complaining about. We need them. I ain't complaining. I'm just saying that's what the United States does. Because
let's play a little clip for everybody on that. Okay. So play fans up for Dave.
Just reached a minerals deal. It will grant the U.S. privileged access to new investment projects to develop Ukraine's natural resources, including aluminum, graphite, oil, and natural gas.
So that was the breaking news, and you're hearing it from a very special voice. It gives validation to the fact of what Jerry just said, and he wouldn't come out here and say it for no reason at all, because there's a lot of misleading information out there. So we have to really do our due diligence and bring in the best voices of what we can. So that gives validation to anybody out there saying, I didn't hear about it. Well, now you did, right here on the Glovin Show. With that said, the strong arm, Jer, and I don't disagree with you. I agree with you. Is just in some cases when we get to the point of where we are in the position that we are in the trifecta, sometimes the strong arm works better than the weak hand. And don't mistake our weaknesses for our kindness. And I think that's where Trump comes from in a way. He's been never like this before. Silent, sweet, but he will question anybody. Like the MS-13 thing on the hand that he went in front of a guy on an interview for, and the guy tried to shoot him down and says, well, we don't know if that's real. And Trump's like, no, this is real. And he says, well, that could be CGI. And Trump says, whoa, and that's not CGI. And the guy's trying to take him off narrative through the whole interview, and Trump's bringing him right back into the ball court. As old as he is powerful. He's not afraid to stand up to anybody if they want to go under a debate with him. So again, just to say where we are with what's going on and so forth, sometimes, you have to stand strong in order to make something work.
Yeah, I just think that I think Trump actually goes through the game about all the people dying. He doesn't like people dying, doesn't like war, and that's all great. Now and again, a war is necessary, like World War II. I think it's the last necessary war we actually fought. Okay, frankly, I don't think we needed to be in Korea to, bring truth, justice, and the American way to Korea. I don't think we need to be in Vietnam. We didn't need to be in half the goddamn countries we're in fighting people. Okay, but World War II, you can make a strong argument that was necessary. It could have been ended a lot sooner. In my opinion, and we could have not turned away boatloads of Jews go back to Germany to be murdered in concentration camps also. So I don't know what that was all about, but we wasn't like we were the pure and innocent in the whole situation. We killed thousands of Jews by sending them home.
Prescott Bush.
Yeah. So
we killed thousands of people. A lot of them weren't even Jews that went through.
So gypsies, the retarded, gypsies, you name it, anything gays, that wasn't
the retarded,
what Hitler thought was Aryan, I guess, whatever.
Yeah, if you talked about transgendering that day, you probably spent a week dying in a concentration camp.
Well, all I know is this: I'm good as long as we're not in it. I think if we need military, we need to protect our own borders, which he is actually using the military to do. I don't know if they're armed or not. Frankly, I think if you're in the military and you are protecting our borders, I think you should be armed and, supplied to the teeth. Frankly, no way I'm sending the military down to the border to get shot at without a way to shoot back, because I don't give a fuck about Mexico. All right? I don't. Thing is, we could live a lot more peacefully if us as a country would stay out of everybody else's business.
Yep.
Well, and if you want to have and straighten out a war with the Middle East, you take big bombs like Moab's, and you continuously bomb them until they beg you to stop. And then you bomb them 5 more times and kill the guy who begged you to stop. And then you go find some poor slob who survived and then make a peace deal with him. And then, let all these other countries go in there and rebuild and make a mess of things again and stay the hell out of it. And this whole thing, I guarantee you, if we did it that way, we'd be back to things like using words like the 2-week war in history books, because that's all it would take.
Yeah. But, we always get caught between the conflict of how one chooses to create betterment for countries. And it would be better if we didn't work with anybody. But again, we're in such a devastated state of problem and condition that Trump is looking for anything that he can do to turn it around, to pay off the debt in a complete mannerism. And he's allowing, through the gold card and some of these other processes of program and citizenships, because of monies and millions invested, that this is the only way to go forth. And we don't have a choice of that because we voted for him to do the best job he can. This is one of the ways he feels he can do it. So we're going to have to deal with the fact that we are going to still be infiltrated and occupied, working with other countries. Now, you can hope for peace to come out of that because that's what he preaches for mainly. Peace, prosperity, stop death. Will he be able to achieve that? That's going to be the big question. Can he do that?
Yeah.
Will it all stop because they are in hand with us as one? And basically, you're kicking ones out the door for non-citizenship, but you're welcoming the others for citizenship. It's a big risk. It's a big risk, and I hope it works out for him.
Every
but I hope
lifetime that
it's
comes
we go.
by, we get a leader, and I mean a real one. One who doesn't take shit, but is also able to have compassion. Trump is it. And what happens when you get somebody like Trump is what you get from the left. They don't like compassion. They say they love compassion, but they don't really. And their actions prove it. Trump's actions, in a lot of cases, prove compassion because he's not doing just for the right, as all these people want you to believe. He's doing for the country.
Yeah.
Because eventually everybody, left, right, and sideways, is going to benefit from this until the next idiot gets in there and undoes it all, and we're right back to where the hell we started, which is a major flaw in our political system. You should not be allowed to undo executive orders the minute you get into office, because especially now, there should be some way of figuring out, is this actually working or not? And chances are, every one that Trump has ever written, which is over 140 now, which I think is the highest ever. I'm not positive, but that's what I read, so who knows? Anyway, I guarantee you, 99% of them are going to work just fine. And why? Because his way of doing things is not only filled with, intelligence and, experience in business and so on and so forth, but also common sense.
Yeah. Agreed.
Dave.
That keeps bringing me back to the same point, because you can get Republican. If J.D. Vance wins, he could be a different kind of Republican than Trump is. And he's going to take the country and spin it in his direction.
Yeah.
Chuck Schumer AOC could win for the Democrats, and she's going to spin us back in her direction. And then 4 years after her, a Republican gets in. Like you said, Jerry, we got to stop this.
This is the thing, Dave.
We got to stop it.
Yeah, but Dave, this is why we have a constitution. We are supposed to follow. Unfortunately, I don't know too many people in like the House and the Senate or any of the state houses or county committee that actually follow it. That's the problem. All presidents are supposed to follow that constitution and not find loopholes. Just follow it as written. And everything, it's kind of like the 10 Commandments. You're going to follow the 10 Commandments, right? As best you can. Well, you need to follow the Constitution. When nobody's saying we need to update the 10 Commandments. Why? Because they're all sensible things to live by. Well, the Constitution is a sensible thing to live by. It's the fairest thing that we can have in the land for everyone. But we have judges that aren't constitutional. We have politicians that aren't constitutional. And those two, it leaks down into society where now we have a bunch of people who think they're constitutional experts and have no actual idea because they've never actually read it. And some of those people, unfortunately, cannot read it because they can't read.
You should not be able to run for the House or the Senate if you have never read the Constitution. Matter of fact, you should have to take, when you go through congressional boot camp, your first couple of weeks in the House, a couple of weeks in the Senate. At the end of that, you should take a class that shows you understand the Constitution.
Well,
You know what is in it. You know what your job is to protect it. And if you fail that test, who cares if you won the election? You go home
yeah. Here's the thing.
because
Um,
you can't do the job.
Yeah, that's another problem we have. We have the right to vote, and people just vote for name recognition and
No,
how the guy sounds on
yeah,
TV, and
you're
it
right.
just doesn't work.
Yeah,
Because what they're doing
yeah.
actually is, I mean, if you ask somebody how they figure out how these people actually vote, half the people in this country would have no idea how to look that up. And it's not that hard. You just go to their website on the government page, and it tells you how they voted on everything. It's not freaking hard, but nobody does it. They just, oh, I like him. He talks good on TV. He fights. No, now fighting is when you get into a fist fight, or you get into a gunfight, or a knife fight, or a fight with rocks or something. Okay, talking is nothing. Everyone talks. It's all
Right.
bullshit. I try to live my life very simply. All right, I do unto others. Golden rule. All that kind of bullshit. And I am not successful all the time. Um, so it just is what it is. And Jimmy is right. The congressional Republicans are going to be blamed for not legislating any of his executive orders, and he is right when he says they should be blamed because this, they keep talking about the president's agenda, the president's agenda. Well, why aren't you codifying this into law? Okay, well, so that the president's agenda is actually going to mean something. How about this? How about when the Democrats say we want to get rid of we're going to vote out what is it called? The Electoral College. How about somebody on the Republican side come up and read the part of the Constitution where they can't do that without a convention of states and this and that and the other? I guarantee you there are people out there who have never heard of a convention of states and what they can do. And then there are people out there that are dumb enough to think that's a good idea. Let's put our Constitution in the hands of these freaking politicians.
No.
Holy crap, that's bad.
Yeah. Couldn't see us doing that unless all of these people that are currently in it and started new. People who have never been in it that can prove that they really want to be there. They want to fix this country. They're not there for the $174,000 plus the $17.4 million they make in the first week in their pocket from everybody.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a whole different thing, and they're all taking money, and they're millionaires, and
Yeah.
blah blah blah. And then they swear up and down they're not millionaires. Meanwhile, they got a bank account says $12 million or $50 million or $100 million. Nancy Pelosi probably is in the billions with all her money. Probably most of it's offshore, so nobody can touch it or see it. There's all kinds of bullshit.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I mean, they anytime you make a bank transaction more than $600, they report that shit to the IRS. Well,
yeah, exactly, and they make sure that you pay.
Yeah,
just not them. Right. And of course, there are a lot of loopholes for the rich. Okay, and I think some of them need to be shut down, but. Then you look. How many people do you think Trump has employed in his lifetime?
Oh my!
I mean, it's got to be in the thousands upon thousands of, maybe even 100,000s. Who knows? I mean, if you build Trump Tower, for instance, I guarantee you, there's probably been 20,000 people in that building putting something in, doing something, and then once it opens, you have all the people that have worked there since it's been open. Okay. Staff, all that. Yeah, exactly. So that's just one building. So tell me again how he should be paying, trillions in dollars of taxes when he's only a billionaire. And tell me again how you deserve one thin dime of his money.
Yeah.
Or any billionaire's money. I don't care who they are. Even Jeff Bezos. You may not like Jeff Bezos. But he went out there and busted his ass, bought Amazon. He almost turned belly up with Amazon. It was not making money for years. And you know what he said? I remember
that was his company.
That was back when they were just selling books. And he said, just keep buying. That's what you do. You just
It
keep
was him and his
buying.
wife.
And look,
It was
eventually
him and
now
his
it's
first
turned into
wife.
China, but nevertheless, here we are. So, but and he don't really he owns it, but he don't really have a lot to do with it anymore. Now he's pissing off everybody at the Washington Post, which I'm actually for, frankly. Whenever anybody at the Washington Post quits because they're pissed off with Jeff Bezos, I feel like he's doing something right. I don't know. I don't know what it is because it's still a liberal rag, but still, you're pissing them off, then, whatever. I'm good.
I think we're all waiting for him to come out and admit that Katy Perry did not go into space.
That'll never happen.
First
we
of
may
all,
not see
his
him for a
choice of
while.
women to put up there, I saw the picture of them. I think the next rule he should have for his space adventures are no Botox.
Yeah.
Because everyone looked like they were chiseled out of granite, and I saw a couple in there that are supposedly beautiful that I thought looked like they're horrific, really. But bad.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Katy Perry is she's one of those actresses who's just batshit crazy. And apparently plays make believe very, very well to where she can go and do that, which is fine. That's good. You're good at make believe. I don't care. But maybe stop talking. That would be good. Yeah, stop talking. Yeah, let's all send her a letter saying stop talking, or shut the.
Stay on stage and sing and don't go into base.
I don't know, Dave. It's just everything I see just seems insane to me. From both sides. Sides. It's a very simple way to live, as everybody I think here pretty much has mentioned at one time or another. Respect your neighbor's shit. Respect your neighbor, whether you like him or not. If you don't like him, here's an idea: stay away from him.
Yeah.
It's that simple. It really is. It's that fucking simple. Okay, that's what I do. You could live literally in a subdivision next to me. I've had people I did not like. I stayed off their property. I didn't talk to them. I didn't look at them. I didn't pay attention to them. I didn't do anything. Just leave me alone. I will leave you alone. We will get along famously that way and never have another problem. And, you can talk all the shit you want about me. I don't really care. Just as long as I don't have to hear it, I don't care.
I have to wonder how Chuck Schumer, at the end of the day, when he's at home in his study, thinks about what he did that day and why the fuck he doesn't just take his money that's sitting in offshore bank accounts, I'm sure too, and go home and just
you would have
enjoy
to
it.
spend time with that garden gnome looking woman he married. That's probably why. I'm pretty sure that, because she is. Well, there's a lot of rumors that she is actually a guy. I don't personally believe them.
Yeah.
But she does look like a garden gnome. And I think that every night he takes her and puts her out on the front step and keeps evil spirits away or something. I don't know.
Probably. But I mean, when your life comes down to one, you say a bunch of BS before you go to bed at night. You wake up in the morning and you say a bunch of more BS. There's got to be more to life than just BS. I mean, I'm sure he's getting lots of money for doing it, but there's just got to, your head at some point has got to just, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Bullshit is money, though. Think about it.
It is.
It is.
People fall for bullshit every single day.
I don't understand how the hell any of them go home and look themselves in the mirror. I don't. I would go home after doing what Chuck Schumer does in a day, or Nancy Pelosi, or any of the big ones, and I would be ashamed of myself. I couldn't live with it.
Nancy just drinks enough and goes to bed.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
I don't know what Chuck
Well, that and she's probably on first name basis with Satan, so that probably helps a lot. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe Chuck goes into his study and smokes a joint and then goes to bed. I don't know. And no, that was a sarcastic remark. It was not said as a
Well, it wouldn't
true life
surprise
fact. So
me.
please don't sue me for saying it.
Yeah, I wouldn't surprise me at all. Actually, never thought about
Yeah.
that, but yeah, there has to be. That's why you see so many politicians that are drunks, male and female.
Yeah.
It's because they lie. What they do is they blacken their soul, in my opinion. And there's nothing. That's the only way they can feel anything is to be drunk.
They have a soul.
I don't know. You go in there and
No.
you lie to people, and you get rich off other people, and you have people killed, and you this and that and the other. You have to have something in you that makes you feel alive, and for many, it's drugs and alcohol. I guarantee you, if we drug tested every one of them, we would find alcohol and probably every drug known to man.
Yeah, I bet you're right. Oh yeah,
including prescription ones that are like psychotropic type shit. Because we got some people in there that I think are probably got that what is that that depression shit that makes you happy and sad all at the same time, and you punch yourself in the face.
Yeah.
Manic. We got people that are psychotic. I think we got people like that little Indian guy with the toop and the fake hair and shit that just put out articles of impeachment on Trump. Boy, I read about that guy. That guy, he deserves death immediately, in my opinion. He had a drug testing company and used beagles, and when it went out of business, he just left them there to starve to death.
Go ahead, Dave.
But this is the other thing I don't understand about the parties. Why do they go find the person way down at the bottom who doesn't know anything, who's been there like, the same 100 days that Trump has been there, but Trump's been around. He knows what's going on. He served president for 4 years before. But I'm just saying, they got a first elected guy who just got into the country and became a citizen or was born here. I don't know. But, a nobody who comes out and says, I'm going to get Trump for this. And it's like, you just got out of college. What do you know about you're going to get the president?
Yeah.
Who's funding you? Who's funding you and why?
Well, what's that one
if George Soros
chick that said she was
would
going
just
to get Trump, and when she got elected, he's going to get the motherfucker, Ilhan Omar's buddy.
Yeah, the one down in Georgia?
No, the one from Michigan. Ilhan Omar's buddy.
Okay.
The other one. She said she was going to get the motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how would that go?
I haven't heard anything from her.
You don't hear a lot out of her lately.
No, you don't hear anything out of her, really. But
which I'm happy about, but it's still scary also. I don't know.
But then by the same time you hear too much out of people like Maxine Waters, and used to hear from Barbara Boxer a lot, but I don't even know if Maxine Waters took that over, and and these people are guilty of the same things. It's like Letitia James and her living in one state and trying to be the Attorney General of New York. Maxine Waters in California doesn't live in her district.
Oh, Adam Schiff too. Adam Schiff.
I heard Adam Schiff has 2 homes, and one of them is out of California.
Yeah, I think it's North Carolina. I don't remember. I just read it this morning.
Yeah.
I should probably remember it, but I don't. You all know that. But
But,
so I'm trying to figure out how he's representing people. His main residence in North Carolina, yet he's senator for California.
Well, if they can prove that his main residence is actually in North Carolina, is not in California, they can nail him for
his main residence in California is a 1-bedroom condo with a family, I believe, of 4.
But
okay,
if they
so
can
1
prove
bedroom.
that he's not living there.
Well, they could,
that he's not living there, then they have grounds to get him. But if they can prove that Letitia James is living in another state, the same kind of people at the DOJ could build the same case against
I
Adam
watched
Schiff.
a video the other day, and two
There's
guys
even worse things about Adam.
went to the
Go ahead.
they could prove a
I'm
lot
sorry.
of shit on him, but there was a video. Two guys went to her house, the James woman, in wherever it was, Virginia, right?
Mhm.
And they tried. There's a bunch of people living in there. None of them are her.
Yeah.
And they asked questions like, "When's the last time she has been there?" And none of them would answer any of the questions.
Of course
You
not.
know, they said, they all run in the house and close the door or whatever. And that's either they've been told you answer any questions and you are going to be put out. I don't know how they think that's going to work in the end, because if there's a trial, those people are going to be drug up to New York, and there's going to be a
Yep.
trial, and they're going to be witnesses.
Yep.
It is what it is. But
I wonder if you can be guilty of the same crimes. That if you knew that the attorney general of one state is violating the law, living in another state in the same house that you live in, and you don't do anything about it, can't you be nailed for that too?
I don't know.
It's obstruction.
I know that,
I would
like,
think it's
what's her
obstruction of
name?
some kind.
Maxine Waters does the same thing. She just doesn't live in the same district. She lives in the same state, at least, I guess. I mean, I don't know if that's saying anything or not, but some of these people, their main, they want it because she's renting this place out to people. It's income for her.
Yeah.
And that's what they do, and they lie. And why wouldn't they? They lie to us every single day, right to our face, and sometimes with a smile on their face. Why wouldn't they lie to another state or a real estate agent or whatever on the paperwork, the state paperwork, to buy this house? And why was nobody in the state realized that Adam Schiff is a senator from California and lives mostly in D.C. and California, I would assume. Why in the hell would anybody at the state not say, this is curious?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Do you ever?
But
the international answer to damn near
Adam
everything
for.
right here. Thank you, Chuck.
There are other things not necessarily more important, but necessarily more important that Adam Schiff could be nailed for.
At least more jail time.
The whole story, but I keep hearing. But seriously, more jail time, because I keep hearing little tidbits every now and then about him and the other guy and the child that is no longer here. Now that should have been
black
investigated.
kid that he OD'd, and
it should have just been proven. It should have been proven, and if it was, then nail him to the wall. And if it's BS, then stop the story going around.
Well, yeah, you're right about that, actually, because who knows? But the problem is it's a very believable story. Us knowing Adam Schiff as we do.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Yeah.
At least for him. He could come out and say it's certainly not true, but no one is going to believe him. So who do you can't have the kid, because the kid is either not here or doesn't exist. The other guy, maybe he exists, maybe he don't. So how do you know? That's a good point, Dave. I gotta say. But in the end, he's done plenty of shit while he was in his official capacity as a representative the last term of Trump that can be, destroying evidence, you name it, that he could be put away for. And I suspect 6 months from now, a year, things may start falling around him pretty quick.
And he's got the balls to nail Pam Bondi in questions. He kept saying to her, that you have to be able to tell the president that he can't destroy January 6th. And I was just surprised that she just didn't become unglued to the point where she actually got up and slapped him and said, "What the hell are you talking about?" Because it's Adam who is in trouble for Adam Liz Cheney, the black House rep whose name I can't remember. It's all those Democrats on the House on Select Committee, as President Trump calls it, that are guilty of destroying stuff.
Yeah.
Stop throwing the charges on people, and if they're guilty, that's it. And if they're not guilty, then prove that they're not. But you hear Cash Patel every day, these people are guilty, and I'm going to slap handcuffs on them. And you hear, Pam Bondi doesn't say this much anymore because there's a backlog. And over at the FBI, I guess they've increased Dan Bongino, the assistant director. They've increased his security, so something's going on there.
Oh yeah, no, they're building their cases and everything, and that takes time. I mean, they're crossing their T's and dotting their I's, and they're gonna make it to where they aren't gonna be able to get away with whatever they're getting charged with. Yeah.
But they increased Bongino's security staff inside of the FBI headquarters.
Right.
Inside?
Yeah.
Inside.
Holy crap.
I read it the other day. Inside.
That's not good.
Inside. They're looking for any FBI agent anywhere in the bureau that wants to volunteer for a temporary assignment, because it will be temporary. It won't be one team year round. It'll be come and serve whatever the term is, and then when it's done, pack up and go home or go on vacation. Let your brain de-thaw. But yeah, and I've never heard of a deputy director having that much security. Now we all know that Dan's a controversial guy.
What does Bongino do when he was out here? He asked questions. You start asking the wrong questions inside the building over there, that can get dangerous. You ask questions out here, the wrong ones, that could be dangerous. Imagine inside the FBI building and on the top floor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Anyway, Dave, I got to go, man.
No.
I'm sorry.
All right, Jerry, I was going to just ask you that it was about 8:30 and you had to
talk. But anyway, I appreciate it. Good show, man. It was a really good show, actually.
Don't burn the apple pie.
Yeah.
Don't burn the apple pie.
It was good.
It was really good. It was was it? Did you make homemade vanilla ice?
No, it actually wasn't homemade. I just bought the crust and everything, but it's pretty good anyway. I'm probably going to die of cancer from it, but I don't give a shit,
No, I meant homemade vanilla ice cream to go on the pie.
No, I don't like ice cream on my pie. I never have when I was a kid. I don't like it now, but a lot of people do, and I hate vanilla also, so that's a problem. But I got a lot of problems, Dave, with things, and I managed to get through life.
That's all right.
But my wife doesn't really like vanilla. She likes the strawberry.
Yep.
And that actually, I'm not a big strawberry ice cream fan, but I will eat that. It is pretty good. So it is, it's like anything else. It is what it is, and you hope for the best.
It is.
So.
It is what it is. But don't tell anybody for a show that I actually didn't plan. If you go read the promos around Facebook, it says whatever comes out of our mouth. It says politics and whatever comes out of our mouths, because I always say that. But today, in the promos, the emphasis was more on whatever came out of our mouths. So don't tell anybody that we talked politics, and maybe they'll
that's fine.
I got 13 on Facebook right now. That's pretty good. Absolutely.
Yep. Yep.
All right.
And I didn't know if Michael was going to be free today. I just threw him a link. But Jared, it's always a pleasure.
We'll see you tomorrow night, hopefully.
To have you here, and I will be there tomorrow night.
Chuck, we'll see you tomorrow night. Hopefully, see everybody tomorrow night.
God willing.
What is tomorrow? Friday, right? So we'll see everybody on Friday.
Tomorrow is Friday.
Well, it's good to keep up on those things. We had a truck update. It wasn't the oil cooler leaking, So that took about $700 off the price so far. It was at $1,550 some dollars. However, there's still an oil leak, so there could be a problem somehow, somewhere. Um, yeah, and
So
if it's
don't
a
erase
rear
the
main seal or
750
something
yet.
silly
Just
like that, that is going to be a megatory thing, and so that'll cost more. So we'll see how it goes, but it's not going to be. Oh, obviously, wasn't done today, and if he finds the oil leak and it's nothing completely out of line, we will be able to. Maybe get it back tomorrow or Saturday, but we'll see. If it's a rear main seal, it won't be till next week. So the other thing is there's a massive air leak in the air intake manifold, so that has to be fixed. And none of it was my fault. Not a damn bit of it was my fault. The way I got it is the way it went back together and came apart, went back together, all that. So, and I know somebody's been in there before me because of the broken bolt that I didn't break, and the knock sensor underneath the oil cooler that somebody put on there at 4,000 psi or something. I don't know. They used an air gun or something. I don't know what the hell they did, but I couldn't get the fucker out for nothing, and it ain't supposed to be in there that hard. So hopefully this will all be alleviated by next week, because I am tired of having to ask the neighbor for his truck. So anyway, that's the update on that. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Probably have another one, see what we see. Y'all take care, and hopefully see everybody tomorrow night. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Jerry. Yep. Bye-bye.
All right, Jerry. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yep. Jerry Michaels from the American Rebellion, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. You see us all there. I want to thank Michael Anthony for popping in. I didn't know that he would. I just,
no, that was
threw everybody the link, and then I didn't know if Michael was going to. He didn't know if he was going to be able to do it. I'm glad he did it. If anybody else wants to join us, you're always welcome.
Yeah, I still every time I'm on a broadcaster show or whatever you want to call it, and Michael comes on, it's like, wow,
it gets people thinking.
And I hope everybody in the chat feels the same way. I mean, the knowledge, the questioning of things, and I mean, he's been doing this for a long time. He knows a lot, and he studies a lot of stuff. He really does. Go ahead.
One of the great mysteries of life is actually how old he actually is.
I don't know. I'm not
one day he was younger. No. One day he was younger than me. One day than someone who's not with me anymore. And around your age, and then I don't know, but maybe he can't tell me. Maybe he's not supposed to tell me.
No. No.
All right, Chuck, go listen to some good music, and
oh yeah.
We'll be here until the music starts tomorrow at 7 o'clock.
Yeah. Okay, you want me to play a goodbye song real quick?
You can.
It's up to you. I mean, it's your show.
No, you can. You can. I don't care. I don't care anymore.
All right. Hang on. Here it comes. This is from Roy Rogers and Dale Evans. I do not own the
right. Happy trails to you.
Happy trails to you. Until we meet again.
Thank you, everybody, for showing up tonight. We appreciate it. Hope you had a good time. And we'll see you the next time. That brings back some old music there. All right, Dave, take care. We'll see you tomorrow.
It does. All right, Chuck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry I did that. Hey, tomorrow night, it's Friday. and see us on the American Rebellion. And on that note, I'm going to shut us off so that we can turn on the TV set here and get ready for bed. So thank you all for coming. Have a great night.